Hello. Whew. Sorry, microphones are they're a lot. Um, I'm Joey Weaver Douglas. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I'm a third year sociology student, and my research topic or proposed topic is Black student attrition at UNC. So my research question is, what are the determining factors that cause Black students to leave UNC? In the picture, you'll see a little Black boy running away from two UNC logos. And above those logos are two possible reasons why students would leave this university. One example is a $2,000 bill, because you probably can't really read it, it's a little small. And the other is expensive textbooks. Those are really common examples. You may know somebody in your life that has had a bill that kept them from registration, or you may even personally have had a class where you have not been able to obtain the textbooks due to them being too expensive. So before I get any deeper, I want to go over two key terms that you need to know before you can really understand what I'm kind of diving into. Those two key terms are attrition and persistence. So what is attrition? Attrition is the departure or delay in successful completion of program requirements. So it could be drop out, stop out, pause out, and those are basically different terms that describe delaying your program process, whether that is permanently, temporarily, for a short time, etc. Whereas persistence is kind of the opposite. And so that refers to students' continuous decisions to continually enroll in school, whether that is at the same institution or whether that is at a different institution. So let's get into some background on why I'm doing this. So before I get into these numbers, which are all cool and fun, I want to share a little bit about why I actually want to do this, and I'll get into that and when we talk about the significance as well. I started in this academic year of 2022 to 2023, which is the retention rate that I'm pulling from, which is the 74% that's on the screen. And only 74% of the people that came in with me first time, first year freshmen were retained from first fall to second fall. So about 26% of those students did not return for their sophomore year at this institution, whether that was because they transferred, they dropped out, or something else happened. Now I wanna give some context. In the entire student body of UNC, Black students only make up 4%. But we had an attrition rate, so the rate that people left, of 9%. Now this was higher than any other racial group. To compare, the attrition rate for white students was about 7%. However, the attrition rate for Latinx students was only 3%. So just to contextualize that a little bit. So what is the purpose of my research? I have four main objectives that I'm trying to get accomplished with this research, and they're all really, really important to me. The first one is to gain a better understanding of the Black student experience at UNC. So you'll see throughout this presentation how I'm going to do that. But the biggest thing is to understand the lived experience, not the data points, not the success stories, not the failing stories, but just the lived experience of everyday students here. I want to identify different forms of support for students. So I am looking at the reasons why they leave. I want to know the determining factors why they go, but I also want to know what kept them while they were here. I want to know what could keep them in the future and what could have allowed them to graduate at the same institution in which they started. Additionally, I want to design an action agenda. So this is a plan that I will be creating based on the factors that I get from participants and the support factors that I learn, that will basically be a plan that I provide to the institution to support retention and persistence for Black students here. And then in general, improve Black student retention. So kind of back to why this is important to me, the significance of my research is when I started here at about 2022, there was many students that started with me. I had many friends. And I noticed as I was going throughout the year that some of them started to drop off of the face of the earth a little bit. It's now 2024, and I've noticed that at least 5 students that I've known either personally or what would you call that? I don't know, the word's not coming to mind right now, but personally or indirectly, that's the word. I have 5 specific students that I know that started here when I started here, and they are no longer going to the school, whether that's because of financial reasons, safety reasons, lack of support, lack of opportunities, etc. And this reflects to me that there's an unsupported space for Black students here, because some students come here and they thrive, and that can exist regardless of race. And other students come and they, I don't want to say fail, because it really just depends on how you look at it. You can drop out of college and find your actual dream career. So I basically say that to say that the lack of these 5 students in my mind is showing me that there's something that's supporting me that wasn't supporting them. And that's not really fair. I want to take the factors that I learned from the participants in my study that cause them to leave and create this action agenda and turn that all together to create a plan for retention. And then I'm hoping, really, really hoping, that myself plus the research that I conduct will create a better plan, mentality, space for us to thrive as Black students at UNC rather than just survive UNC. And so I'll give a little bit more context for that. In my experience here with discussing our experiences with current students, former students, students that are kind of in the middle, they're considering leaving, I've heard that a lot of different students have really kind of survived this university. They've gotten out of here with scars. They've left with trauma. They've left, whether they wanted to or not. You know, some people are kind of pushed away. So I want us to shift towards thriving, not just surviving, not just getting out of here with hopefully in one piece, you know, maybe. And an important thing that I'm going to be including in my research that hasn't been included in previous research on attrition in general is an intersectional lens. So I'm looking at Black students specifically because I feel like it impacts Black students specifically, but I'm also looking at the difference between Black students that are disabled, that have different gender identities, that are women, that might be international, or have different language that they speak. To basically understand the difference in the layers of oppression that are kind of experienced here based on the varying levels of identities that somebody holds. So now we can talk about my methods, how I'm gonna do this thing. So my project in general is qualitative. I'm gonna be doing narrative analysis, which is basically taking stories from my participants, not taking, you know, hopefully willfully providing stories from my participants. And I will be asking them open-ended questions that allow for them to tell me a narrative about their lived experience being here at UNC, leaving UNC, to understand that experience. I will be doing this over interviews. So I will hope to gain between 5 and 7 participants. All the questions will be open-ended, the interviews will be semi-structured, and I will ask about 7 to 10 core questions. My sample will be made up of Black, African, and or African diasporic students. They need to be former UNC students, and I'm hoping that they will have attended within the last 5 years. Recruitment, yay. So how I'm gonna find these people? I'm going to be posting a flyer like this to social media. I do have 2 other flyers, but I wanted to kind of make it so that y'all could see it. So here's the one I picked. I'm going to be posting this to social media, getting this out all across campus. I don't know if any of y'all work on campus, if y'all ever run the social media for y'all's organizations. There are lots of group chats, and I'm going to be sending them everywhere. I'm also going to print out flyers so that if there are students here that know students who have dropped out, transferred, or taken a break from this school, that they can point me in their direction or get them to my direction. And so in general, I'm going to be using snowball sampling, where I'm going to contact people that I know or that have this experience and ask them to also reach out to people that they know that may have a similar experience. And I'm basically just looking for students that have successfully dropped out or transferred. So yeah. Some of the tools that I'll be using for this research include Zoom/Teams, still got to pick one, but Zoom is helpful because it'll allow me to record interviews and to populate a transcript. But regardless, I'll be using Timmy for transcription to get the most accurate as possible. And then I will also edit for accuracy go back through, read it, make sure that everything makes sense, and I will allow my participants to review things. I will also be using NVivo/Excel to code for themes in which I'll do a blind review and find trends across narratives. Some of my procedures, I'm going to start off with consent because everybody needs to make that decision that they actually want to share this story. Because one of the risks of this project is that it can bring up trauma, it can bring up harm, it can bring up negative emotions. So make sure that everybody is aware of that risk and consents to that. We'll do the interviews, and then I will do a debrief in which I will facilitate up to 3 grounding exercises. They have options. And then I'll provide local resources, not just to Weld County, but like local to Northern Colorado. And in terms of more procedures, I'll be providing every single participant with a pseudonym to maintain confidentiality so that their story, especially if they're here within the last 5 years, isn't then spread again without their knowledge or just taken advantage of or put them in a vulnerable position if they do want to come back. In terms of storing the data, I will be storing all data until I complete an accurate transcript. And then after that, I will delete all the raw data, the audio recordings, and if there's any video recording, that would automatically be deleted. And everyone that will be dealing with the data will only have access to clean data, which is anonymized and confidential. And then after the transcript is complete, like I said, I will delete stuff. For analysis, like I mentioned, I will continue to code for themes with the help of my mentor, Hannah Connor. We will find trends in the narratives and we will pull direct quotes. My big thing is creating an action agenda. So creating that plan to be able to find those supports and find those things that allow for students to stay enrolled here and enact institutional change. And then I will continue to present at UNC. So hopefully y'all will see me in the spring. Some next steps. Like I said, I'm proposing this project. So I have applied to IRB, but I haven't heard back yet. So I will hopefully collect and analyze data between November and December. We shall see. I will certainly be writing a grant report regardless because I was fortunate enough to receive the OUR grant for this project. I will then prepare for the student showcase in the spring. I will prepare my manuscript. We'll see about NCUR. It's definitely on the horizon regardless. And then I'll finalize my manuscript. I just wanted to say really quickly, thank you to OUR for funding this project. Thank you to my beautiful mentor for supporting me every single step of the way, always encouraging me and like affirming me. Thank you for my beautiful people that showed up for me today, my beautiful partner. And thank you all for listening and for being interested even a little bit in my project. I'm super excited for the results and hopefully I'll be here in the spring. I see a question. I will come to you right after this. Yes. Right now, it is going to be specifically what comes of the conversations because I want to use direct information from students who have been here and who have experienced this like specific town, the specific university, the specific experience in their Blackness. And I want to hear from them what they think would help if they were to advise a new freshman or if they were to come back. Like I would want to hear directly from them and to use that. Of course, I will also probably pull on literature a little bit to advise me in terms of structuring the action agenda, in terms of making it the most useful and effective in terms of presenting it to the people that I will present it to. So like shareholders or like, I don't know if that's the right term, but like those important people, those leaders, it'd be cool if I could present to the board of trustees, but whatever. Yes, one right here. that are they'll intersect differently with different types of students based on how those experience, but still they might be kind of more quantitative. I've definitely considered doing like a mixed methods approach of combining quantitative and qualitative and like asking those different questions. I think right now I'm more focused on the narratives and like the social factors, I guess. Finances is a really important one that comes up and it was frequent in the literature that I reviewed. But also another one was racialized experience and lack of faculty support. So I kind of wanted to dig a little bit deeper into those social reasons. And I think that if I am privileged enough to continue my research, that I would love to dig deeper into the mixed methods approach or into a quantitative approach. And then there was just one last one. I'm definitely interested. One thing that like comes to mind when I think about your question is like the previous division of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's something that I would definitely want to ask. Like, was this a support? Did you ever interact with this division? Did this ever support you, give you community, especially because I'm looking at the Black community specifically. And so that could relate to like the Marcus Garvey Cultural Center where they could have found safety or home or anything like that. But also, I think what I'm also hearing from you is maybe like academic departments or like the student success centers or the writing center, different things like that, like even the research consulting center, things that actually help you do the work of being a student. So I'm definitely interested. It's not on my interview questionnaire, but I'm super interested. I think that's it. Thank you.